So I'm going to talk with you about virtual reality, a little bit about what it is and what it isn't. Most people hear virtual reality and they think games, entertainment. You might think pornography. I'm going to show you some games, and then I'm going to show you some uses for VR that's not entertainment and it's not games. First, we have to talk a little bit about virtual and reality. So virtual has this kind of connotation that's it's like similar to, or it might be close to. And I'm not talking about virtual reality like my kids say, my teachers say the same thing literally all the time, man. Not like that. When I say virtual, I mean you might not be able to tell the difference between what's real and what's not real. So as you get into virtual reality, you start to get the sense that all reality is virtual. So here's a question. What's the difference between a brilliant idea from a madman on the street and one from a genius? They're both brilliant ideas, right? The difference is our bias about the messenger. So if all realities are virtual, what's possible? Anything's possible. Really, the limit is our own imagination. And storytellers have been trying to do this forever. Put you right in the center of the story. Remind me to tell you about the time I was eaten by a grizzly bear. No kidding, it's a good story. This is a virtual reality theatrical experience. It's an animation, and you're actually the director of photography. So here's the story happening all around you in a model, and you get to move your head around the space. You get to look inside of things, you get to look around, you pick the direction of the camera. It's one of the masterpieces in virtual reality. This is a game called Lone Echo. You play an AI with a robot body out on the rings of Saturn trying to solve puzzles around a radioactive anomaly. It's pretty cool. And as an athlete, being in zero gravity is one of the best experiences out there. They took the same physics and they made kind of zero gravity ultimate frisbee. You play against other humans and you're trying to throw a disc into a diamond goal out in space. I'm telling y'all, it doesn't get much better than this. So outside of games, what we did for Deltec Homes, Deltec makes cylindrical homes. They're very unique style. And we created this home in virtual reality so you could get inside of it, and it feels as if you're actually in the house. We actually took this up to a trade show 2 weeks after we made it, and a woman named Barbara came up and said, I'm definitely not interested in Deltec. I've met you guys before. We said, we've got this new cool technology. She put it on, immediately says, wow, amazing, this is beautiful. Less than 10 minutes later, she took the headset off and said, you made a sale. She's now negotiating with Deltec about the design of her home. So it's pretty simple. You put the headset on, you get some earphones, and you can be inside the world. And you can move around just like you would in this reality. This was an experience this summer where we actually solar powered our virtual reality. First time that I had ever seen that. And it's as simple as a pair of headset like this. You can do virtual reality on your phone right now. You can also do 360 video, which is a little bit different. You can't move around the video like you can in virtual reality, but it still gives you a sense of being in the space in the same way that virtual reality does. So, what's possible? Really, the question is, it goes farther beyond that. We got to think as if there's no box at all. What do you see? A king that thinks it's a pawn, or a pawn that thinks it's a king? This is a story in a 360 story that I said earlier. It's called Valens Reef, and it's actually about the bird's head out in Indonesia, which is one of the richest marine life areas on the planet. And it's about a father and son who revitalized that area. It's an amazing story, and you get the sense of swimming right with them. This is an experience created down in Greenville, South Carolina, and it basically gives doctors and med students the sense of what it's like for a patient who has macular degeneration. Imagine the empathy possible for doctors and med students when they can actually sense the experience of their patients. Or this one, where quadriplegics, for decades, they've been putting exoskeletons on to learn to walk again, to try to connect their brain back to the nerves in their legs. The problem is, when they look down, they see mechanical devices, machinery holding their legs together, and they believe they won't ever walk again. But just like Barbara, when we added virtual reality, 8 patients down in Brazil last year could look down and see legs. And you know what happened? All 8 of them can feel their legs and have some sense of movement down there now. It's a huge step forward. Or how about this one? This is a mech where you're actually controlling a huge piece of machinery while what you see is duplicated in your body. It gives you a sense of what's called dual presence, where your physical presence matches what's in your mind. This is really an amazing experience. Imagine learning to drive a dozer or a backhoe using one of those. This robot is controlled remotely with a virtual reality headset to disarm bombs. Pretty cool stuff, right? So for just a moment, I want you to imagine what's possible. Actually, I want you to imagine what's impossible, because that's really what we want to do. Let's take the world and put it in our hand like a marble. Or let's go so small like an ant and crawl around inside a bamboo. Whatever it is you want to do, I want to do it with you. Thanks.